I bought a flood truck that doesn't even run. You might think I'm crazy, but watch to the end, see how we get this thing going. I got this 2020 Chevy Silverado out of Michigan as a flood truck. It does not run and drive, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in neutral, see if I can roll it off the trailer.
Looks good so far up here.
I don't see any water line in the engine compartment. The battery's at 2.3 volts. All right, what do we got? It will go in neutral though.
66,000 miles on it.
All right, it got off. Well, you can't say it doesn't run and drive because by Copart standards, that thing just drove. All right, so what I want to do next is get the truck inside the shop, and then I can find the water line on it. We can see if any water got in the oil, see if any water's in the intake, and then I'll know what kind of trouble I got myself into. All right, I got a plan to get this thing inside because we don't want to fork it if we don't have to. I'll get Danny and Billy to do all the work pushing, and I'll just sit inside and steer. Sounds about right? Yep. Okay, it's in neutral. All right, that's good, guys. I know exactly what this truck needs. We need to get rid of those factory running boards and get some power running boards on that thing. And I know just the place to do it. I'm going to wolfbox.com. I love these guys, been using them for years for all my truck accessories. And look at this, a set of Wolfbox running boards for my truck for 1,200 bucks. That's exactly what we need. It's gonna look sexy. It's gonna really help the appeal of that truck. I'm getting them ordered. Okay, so the $1 million question. Do we have water in the oil? So what do we got here? Look at that. It is really low on oil. I mean, really low. It's barely on the bottom of the stick. That tells me two things. First of all, there's not water in the oil because it would be brown and milky looking. Second of all, if there was water in the oil but the engine had not been run, the oil level would be high. It would be overfilled or at least up toward the top of the dipstick. It wouldn't be off the bottom, basically. So that's encouraging though, but we don't want to go starting it until we do get some oil in the thing. I would like to check the breather assembly, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this screw off where I can just pull the tube off and look in there and see what I got. The reason we're checking the breather intake tube is because if they drove the car trying to get through some high water and it sucks water up into the intake, then it goes through the filter assembly, goes through the tube and into the engine, then we know we got a problem. So we want to see that this is nice and dry and that there's no signs of water passing through it. Look at that. There's some water down there in the bottom of it. Oh yeah. There's water all down through there and it's all full of mud. You want to take the top of the breather assembly off?
No, this right back there's another clamp.
Okay, well let's do that.
You're getting your hours in today, Matt.
Nothing wrong with doing a little work.
Yeah, well, look at that. Some water came out.
All right, well, let's see what we got. That's not good. Yeah, so there's some signs of some mud inside of there as well. So water and mud definitely ran through this. All right, so we're looking inside the intake. It's black, which is normal, but there are little spots of water residue in there. So
There's a gap in that plate,
yep.
so it'll affect the idle.
Let's get some oil in it and see what we got.
Cause you checked that.
You suck! Damn! Took me 2 tries, but I got it in the garbage can. Oh yeah, the air filter needs to be
Well, I can send this.
replaced. All right, well, pretty discouraged, quite frankly. This is pretty much worst case scenario. This guy drove the car into the water. It went up through the air filter assembly, through the intake tube, and into the actual engine. We're gonna go ahead and try to start it, see if it runs, see what it sounds like. I've left the tube off, which means the mass airflow sensor's not gonna be reading. We should still get it to be able to idle, but it won't do much more than an idle. So, let's see what we got. Give it over. Okay. Definitely had a tick to it. Not a knock, but a tick. All right, so we're tearing this engine apart, putting a cam and lifters in it, or replacing the engine. Okay, let's take a look and see what else we can find on this thing. Gonna need some tires. Must be an LS model because it's even got manual seats and cloth. I don't see any signs of water getting inside the car though, so that's encouraging. Bone dry under there. Yeah, this side's all dry and clean. Very encouraging. Don't see any loader damage. And it's gonna need rear tires too. Yeah, interesting. It looks like water did get on this side of the car. I see mud in this grill that's over the speaker that's up to about there. And I see some corrosion in the OBD2 connector here. So this water line that they've drawn here is probably right. Got a baby bottle. Never know when you'll need one of those. Yeah, there's water under the carpet. Here you go, there's your water line right there. So see it coming right like that? Boom. This truck was at a really sharp angle down to the left, which is where the air intake is and why it got in the engine, but it didn't even get on the passenger side of the car. Probably somebody got in an accident, slid into a creek or a water basin or something. Yeah.
It's totally
You don't think we can save it?
saturated.
Well, it looks like a good truck, except water having got into the engine. We'll have to pull this carpet on the front left, but otherwise I really don't see where water got into anything, just this front left corner. So the next thing we're gonna wanna do is look at the pros and cons, whether we wanna rebuild this engine or get a new one.
It looks good. The body computer, the computers and the plugs look good. And we have a telematics module.
It wasn't stolen. That is good that it's still there. All right, well, Joe was concerned since this was the corner that got the water, so he was just checking to make sure it didn't get up into those computers. I'm curious if they sell a cam and lifter kit for this thing. I'm sure they do.
They do.
I'm gonna go see what I can find. All right, I've been doing some research. We have a 5.3 liter L82 engine. And on eBay, you can buy those cam kits with the head gaskets and bolts and cam and lifters and everything for $587. Or our friends over at Phoenix Auto Parts have 2 of these engines for $2,000. So what I'm gonna do is go talk to Phil, the guy that's gonna be doing this job, get his opinion. Phil!
Yeah.
All right, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Here's what I'm looking at. It's got a lifter that's ticking bad. I can get a complete kit, lifters, cam, head gaskets, bolts, all of it, for $587. Or I can get you an engine for $2,000. Is the engine more work or putting the cam in it with the thing in the truck?
You're gonna have to take a lot of the front off to be able to even get the cam to come out.
You think you would pull the engine out to do the cam job?
No, probably not. Not in the truck. I would probably pull the front off so I can get to everything.
Yeah.
But I would definitely probably have the front end off. Completely radiator out so I can get in there and be able to pull the cam out. Time-wise,
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
it's gonna be just as much. I mean, motor out, motor in, and a lot faster than torquing heads and taking apart, cleaning everything, pulling the cam. You might actually have to pull the bottom pan off to get the timing cover off. Maybe not. I don't know on this one. I'd have to double check. You see that front cover might actually go down to the bottom and connect to the oil pan.
At which point you're pulling the engine.
I
Well, I think what I'm hearing from you is that doing the cab and heads is actually more work.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be more time consuming for sure.
I'm thinking I want to go ahead and spend the extra $1,400 just because water got in the engine.
the
This is why you
DOD
never get advice from your mechanics, because they always want you to spend more
It
money.
ain't about spending more money, it's about
Yeah,
how
it
much
is.
time you want me to spend on that.
All right, so while we're waiting for that new engine to come in, I'm gonna go ahead and get Billy to pull the seats out of the front of this thing, pull the console and get the carpet out of it so we can get that drying, get it cleaned up, sanitized, and see if there's any parts or anything that got damaged from the water that got in there. Billy! So Billy did a good job of getting the interior taken out of this thing. He's got it back in there now, and she's looking good. What he discovered was encouraging. The back of the cab didn't even get wet at all. It was all dry, really nothing to do back there at all. And over on this side, it was dry. The only place that got water was really up in that front driver's corner. So the electronics here on the passenger A-pillar were all good. On the driver's side, he took the connectors apart, cleaned them with some contact cleaner, put some dielectric grease on it. He's got it all back together. The only thing that he discovered was that we were missing the door sill back here on the right rear door. So I'll call our friends over at Tom Gill Chevrolet and get one of those ordered. In the meantime, we're just waiting on a motor.
One eternity later.
It's day one of the rebuild and we got our engine. Our friends over at Lindale Auto Parts got us one for $2,500, low miles on it. So it's now Danny's turn to put it in. He was telling me though that he's got to take the cab off of the truck to do it. And I'm like, I thought that was just Ford's. So stay tuned Let's see how he gets it done. All right, it's the morning of day 2 on the project, and he is moving along. He got the front end all stripped down. He got the wiring harnesses off of it. He's got it unbolted, just about ready to pluck that thing out of there. Then what he's gonna do is he'll get it down here next to his new engine, and he'll see what's different, anything that he needs to swap over between the 2 engines, and then get it back in there. So let's watch and see if he can drag this out to a 3-day job. So as you guys just watched, Danny got the old engine out and he's got everything swapped out between the 2 engines. I just wanted to take a second though to show you what we found on the old engine. This flywheel is completely rusted out. It's got dirt all over it. And so Danny pointed out to me the water line, you can see it across that torque converter. It's about 3/4 the way up the torque converter, which means quite a bit of water got inside of this engine. Even though we could have probably fixed that lifter issue, put a cam in it, I'm glad we decided to go ahead with the complete replacement engine because that thing probably would have ended up giving us troubles down the road anyway. So time for Danny to get it put in. All right, Danny has been getting done. He checked all the fluids on it, and look at this, man, they were just great. The transfer case was good, the transmission was good, no water in these things, so that was really encouraging. So we don't have to flush those out. Ow! Got both of our new rear shocks put on. The tailpipe, I was hoping he was gonna be able to straighten it out, but it wasn't savable, so we had to replace this driver's side tailpipe. And the brakes, they were all over 75%. So next thing we're gonna do is put some miles on it. Make sure the brakes clean up nice, and hopefully Danny knows what he's doing and I'm not getting towed back in here.
Well, I don't test drive them. I just put the motors in.
You see what I gotta deal with. All right, next thing we gotta do is get it off the rack, and I'm gonna go put some miles on it. I don't know. If Danny's good or we're just lucky, but I didn't really find anything. The only thing going on with this truck is the tire lights on, but we know it needs all new tires, so I'm not gonna worry about that for now. It just doesn't make sense. We had this whole engine out of this thing and we got it back in, like there's gonna be something going on. So I think I'm just gonna drive it for the weekend, check back in with you guys on Monday. So I drove it all weekend and I even made it into work on Monday morning. No surprises, didn't let me down. I did come up with a couple more things though. The check engine light came on, which I suspect is gonna be water in the vapor canister. We'll see, we haven't scanned it yet, but we did have a code for that previously that we had cleared out, so that came back. I also noticed a noise coming from the front of the engine. It sounds like water damage, compressor that's a little loud, alternator that's loud, or one of the idler or tensioner pulleys has got some rust on the bearings. So we'll have to check that out. But in the meantime, our tires came in, so I'm gonna go ahead, get it over to NRP, get our tires put on it, then we'll get it back into mechanical. Danny just pulled the truck back in. He's gonna try to figure out what's making noise on the front of that engine, check out that check engine light, and thanks to the sponsor of this week's video, Wolfbox, we got our new power running boards in last week. We're getting ready to install those. So this truck came factory with some just base stock plastic running boards. We're getting those off of there, and we're gonna get these power running boards on there to really set it apart from the rest of the trucks out there and increase its value.
Look at this, Danny. I hate to say this, but even a caveman can do this. Look at this. It's got stickers on every one of them letting you know exactly where they go. Like, how could this go wrong?
Modules, harness, one major harness.
Look at the finish on these things. It's got a nice finish, big electric motor. Man, it's heavy, good construction. So the rear hinges are just traveling hinges. The fronts actually have the motors on them. Let me take a look at the running board itself. Look at the finish on that thing too. It doesn't have a cheap plastic pad on it. It's all extruded aluminum. You the man, let's see it get done. I give him a half hour. As you guys know, Danny loves to break out the welders and the drills, but he doesn't get to on this project. Wolfbox just makes it too easy. You literally just bolt them right on. They're already pre-drilled, ready to go. So he's gonna get the 2 front motors on so we can get the wiring done, then get the back brackets on, put the boards on. Danny's got it all done, and bam, baby, look at that. Not only does that look good, but with that high torque motor on there, it can handle up to 660 pounds. Plus, as a bonus, they're waterproof. So you could drive it in the snow, the rain, ice, doesn't matter. That motor's always coming down. And anytime you're needing something for your truck, accessories like tonneau covers or your bedside steps or a dash cam or jump boxes, anytime you need an accessory, be sure to go to wolfbox.com. We have a link in the description below. Okay, enough with that. We need to figure out what this noise is coming from the front of the engine, so we need to get Danny on that. We need to get the truck over here to Joe so we can figure out that check engine light. So Danny's trying to figure out what the noise is coming from the engine. We're thinking maybe AC compressor. We did switch the idler pulley and the tensioner pulley over from the water damaged engine, so it could be those. So I'm gonna check the Schrader valve on the air conditioning real quick just to see. I'm sorry?
He's over there telling you not to do that.
Why's that?
He just don't want you to do that.
These guys think they know everything. All right, so the air conditioning is blowing warm, so for sure we need to put refrigerant in it. So Danny's using a long metal rod to go down to the different pulleys and pumps and compressors and alternator on the front of the engine, and just listening through the steel, you can hear better where the actual noise is coming from to figure out what roller bearing or ball bearing's gone bad. AC compression. Okay, so there you have it. He did it the old school way. By putting those rods in there, he was able to verify the noise is actually coming from the compressor. But we know we don't have any refrigerant in the system, which means there's no oil in there, so it's not getting lubricated right. We need to go ahead and charge the AC system and see if that noise goes away. If it does, great. If not, probably putting a compressor on this thing. Our compressor just showed up from Bessler Auto Parts. They got it right over here for 125 bucks. So Phil's gonna get it put on there. We'll see if he gets rid of that noise. It's almost 5 o'clock, but Phil got it done. Him and Charles, they got that AC compressor on there. And as you can hear, it's quiet. So Joe did diagnose it right. It actually needed the compressor after all. Oh, check this out. Nice cold air blowing out there. So this truck is done. She gets to go off to detail. I got my nice Wolf Box board, and you and I, we're gonna go over the numbers. So this truck ends up throwing my numbers all over the place. I'm looking at it at the auction. It's listed as an NOP. I ended up getting it at a great price, but I know that it actually runs and drives because you can see it in the pictures that the truck was running, but then it gets here and actually does end up having a blown engine or an engine that's knocking and we have to replace. So that ends up throwing our numbers off pretty bad. When you have to buy a $3,000 engine that you weren't counting on, that's no fun. So let's look at those numbers on our 2020 Chevy Silverado Custom. I got it for a great price, for $7,224 by the time I paid all the Copart's fees, and I spent another $550 transporting it down here from Michigan. The labor added up. You know, Danny spent over a week and a half putting that engine in, and then we had all the other repairs we had to do to it. So we had $2,550 in labor on it. And then the parts, as I mentioned, we had $3,000 into that engine, and then we had another $1,887 just in all the other parts. $250 on the detail. So by the time we were all said and done, I've got $15,211 into the truck. But it is worth over at $28,140, and it only averages 65 days on market. So we'll sell this thing for somewhere around 76, 77% of market, which means we'll put it on the lot at $21,500. If we end up getting $21,200, that gives us a $6,000 contribution margin, which covers our $5,000 nut and gives us an extra $1,000 on top. That brings us to the end. If you guys haven't signed up at NKY Garage for the Polaris giveaway, be sure to do that. I appreciate your watching. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm Matt Ryan, and this is another episode of NKY Auto.